and there was silence, and they were just like, I started looking for jobs because I was like, wow, I'm so stupid. Like if the real world was like that, you'd have fantastic journalists, but the real world is not, and I'll tell you why. Hello everyone, I am Satshya, and I hope you're all having a good day. Going by the title of this video, you know what this video is about, but the why is actually because a couple of days ago I had wanted to do a Q&A on my podcast, the link to which is in the description and up here, plug. But yeah, so a lot of the questions that I got were actually about my career or my professional past, and those who didn't know that I did journalism had a lot of questions about journalism. So I thought it would be helpful if I just made like a complete video about my journey as a journalist, how I studied, what work was like, and also why I chose to quit journalism. So before we get into it, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, let's get into it. I think one of the main questions that I get is, when did you know you wanted to be a journalist and what did you do about it? I think I was in class 9 or 10 when I knew that I liked communication. I really liked writing, and I was genuinely like very curious about the world and just curious about how things worked, and I liked storytelling. So I figured that journalism sort of ticks all these boxes in terms of what my interests are. And then I decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to be a journalist. I find this interesting and I think this is the way to go. But when it came to choosing my subjects in 11th and 12th, my parents said, listen, you know, why don't you pick science? It's a safer option. If you ever change your mind, you know, like how all parents say, if you ever change your mind, you always have a backup. So I was like, okay, cool. So I took up the sciences, physics, chemistry, maths, and statistics in my 11th and 12th, but all through, like, I was very sure that I wanted to be a journalist. And I honestly found it hard, not because just of the subject matter, but it was mainly because I wasn't interested in it, and I didn't feel like putting in effort for something that I wasn't going to use and that my heart was not in. Like, I was just studying for the sake of studying and just wanted to get through those years. So once that was done, I did my undergrad in a triple major in journalism, literature, and psychology. Karnataka allows you to do that. So yeah, I did it in 3 things that I thought was very interesting, and it was a very good decision, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of people who want to be journalists, they pick like an undergrad in mass comm, and while that's not bad, as a journalist, it's very important for you to have expertise in one subject matter. So if you would take something like, if you have an opportunity to take a triple major, I would suggest take something like journalism, maybe even economics or history or pol science. I had done journalism, literature, psychology, all 3 subjects I loved. I loved going to college. I loved sitting in classes. Like, I absolutely, for the first time, found satisfaction in an academic journey, and I absolutely loved it. So I think one thing I was very clear of is I need practical experience, because I didn't feel like theory was enough. And more than anything, I was so like eager and curious to see what is journalism like I so badly wanted to try new things. And at that time, things like YouTube and all weren't that active, so I didn't have a lot of information online. And so at the end of my first year, I did an internship at the Hindu in the Mangalore bureau, and that was really good, because the people there were so nice and so helpful. I learned so much, and I got to like write so many articles. I got, I think, about 20 bylines or something. I'm not sure, but I got a lot of bylines. But more importantly, they liked my work so much that they would, I could pitch stories to them for their feature sections even while I finished my internship and I was a college student. So it was also a chance for me to gain experience, build up my CV, and also gain some money on the side. But apart from that, I think it made me realize that even when I went back to college, like, there were so many things that my teacher was explaining in class that made so much more sense to me. Now I knew that why it was being applied for. And the second internship that I did was with a TV channel in Bangalore. It was their Bangalore bureau, to the national TV channel. That was also really good, because I did one in newspaper, and then I did print, and then I did one in broadcast, which is TV. So I got to experience both worlds, and it was whole, like, the worlds are completely different. And again, I was like really glad I had the opportunity to see how it works, how the journalists work, what skills I need to be taking care of, and the skills that I need to do in order to succeed professionally. So for me, I didn't go into it thinking that, oh, I need my CV to look good. I went into it thinking, how can I learn the best I can about these things that I'm interested in. And it was just that. So whenever, even in my internships, whenever they would say, can anyone do this? Is anyone interested in doing this? I always put my hand up and I was like, yes, I'm gonna do it. Like, I remember I even went to these press club meetings, they would just give out press releases, but I was so excited and so happy to do it that I'd be like, yes, I'm gonna do it. And I think that really helped me, because there were a lot of small things that you learn along the way that you cannot learn in college, but practical experience really teaches you and helps you out with that. Then when I was in my final year, I knew I definitely wanted to do my higher studies in journalism, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to go abroad. A, because it was very expensive, and B, because I knew I wanted to work in India, and I didn't know if it made sense to study journalism abroad and then come and work in India. And then I was talking to a couple of people, and I came to know that there's this college called Asian College of Journalism, and it's one of the best, and it's based out of Chennai, and they had a very strict admission process. They had an application, they had a written round, and they had an interview round. And I've heard their entrance rounds are notoriously difficult. So I saw what ACJ's syllabus was like, I saw what their educational program was like. I spoke to a couple of people who had graduated from there, and all of them were like, if you want to do journalism, this is the best place in India to do it. And I made up my mind. I was like, done, I'm going to apply to ACJ. And that was the only college I applied at. I didn't apply to anywhere else, because in my head, I was like, I don't want to go anywhere else. Like, even if I don't get into ACJ this time, fine, I'll work for a year, but I'll go next time. But I want to go to ACJ, because I had this thing in my mind that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to give it my 100%. And if I'm going to study, I'm going to study at the best. So I took the entrance and all that very seriously. I prepared for a month. Like, I took Malayalam Manorama, I remember, and I would make notes for their general knowledge round and for the current affairs round. I made notes, I would read, I would study. Like, I took it very, very seriously. And I know, like, a lot of people made fun of me and called me nerd and all that, but I didn't care. Like, I was like, I'm going to get into ACJ, so I'm going to do my 100%, because at the end of the day, I should look back at it and be like, listen, I gave it my 100%, I didn't get through, that's fine. But if I look back and be like, I could have done more, I wouldn't be able to, like, that regret would kill me. I mean, not kill me, but it would like eat my head so much. So then I remember preparing for it, and then I gave my entrance exam in Bangalore, and it was fine, it wasn't too bad. And then I got selected for the interview round. I was very excited, went to Chennai, I was all prepared with I had studied all of my, my current affairs, I was up to date, and it was so hot in Chennai. I remember I was wearing like a light blue top, and I was sweating, and I was like, oh no, like interviewers are gonna like be like, gee, who is this? But I went in, and apparently it was the most difficult panel that I got, but they were really nice. They were not rude at all in any way. They asked me a couple of questions about my interests, who I am, what I want to do, and all of that. Then they had a couple of questions about current affairs. Some I knew, some I didn't know. I made some very silly mistakes also, and I was like, wow, I'm not getting in. But I think one thing I made clear throughout the interview was that, listen, I know that I may not know much, but I'm very, very eager to learn, and I've come here to learn, and I'm going to give it my best. Like, that was just my attitude throughout. And I was as honest as possible. In the things that I didn't know, I said, this is how much I know. Beyond that, I don't know. But I'll go back and like read up on it or something. But I was just very honest about everything. And then I remember that when I came out, like, everybody else had good interviews and they had done quite well. So I thought, that's it, I'm not getting in. I started looking for jobs, because I was like, wow, I'm so stupid. Why did I say though? Like, I said a couple of really dumb things. For example, they asked me what's your favorite show on TV, and I was like, I don't watch much TV, and at the time I didn't. Like, I was super busy with college and stuff. But they're like, no, like, what do you watch, relax and all that. And anybody else would have said something academic or interesting, or like something deep, like, oh, I watch the BBC documentary or something. And you know what I did? First thing that came into my mind, I said it. I said, my favorite TV show is Two Broke Girls. And there was silence, and they were just like, and I was like, oh no, I'm definitely not getting in. Yeah, but then what happened was I got the results, and I also, not only did I get in, but I got in with the stream of my choice. So ACJ has 4 streams, which is broadcast, print, radio and new media, which is digital journalism. And I had picked broadcast as my first option because I wanted to learn like how TV works and all the technical aspects of it, and I got it, and I was like super excited. And ACJ was a fantastic experience. If you are a journalism student watching this, I would highly recommend ACJ, because they give you hands-on training like no other college. And the kind of people you meet there is like, I met people I would have in my life, and like my worldview expanded so much. 2, the professors are amazing, and even the visiting faculty is so good. Like in my year, we had the former editor of The Guardian, Alan Rusbridger, who was there, and it was such a good experience learning from him, interacting with him. And even like the course is structured in a way that when you leave, you can hit the ground running. Like you don't have to join an organization and they have to train you all over again. That's not there. Like I can with full confidence say that someone who graduates from ACJ can join your organization from day one, start working, and they are very well trained to do so. And it's not just you learn things like how to take, we learned how to handle cameras and how to set up shoots, and we had our own shows that we had to produce, and like so many things. Such a great time. But apart from that, we were also taught things like law, we were taught economics. We also could pick electives, like you could pick culture journalism, or you could pick educational journalism, you could pick developmental journalism. So these streams that gives you an insight into what journalism is like, and give you a little more foundational theory to help you better gain expertise in that matter. So it was great. I had so much fun. It was really tiring, but I had so much fun, and got to work on some really great stuff, some really great people, and also produce news reports. I think on this YouTube channel, you'll find my report during the Chennai flood that I done with my friend Moomal, and it was something that we were passing by and saw this thing happen immediately. Like it was like a moment of real journalism where we just got out and we immediately started reporting. So that's absolutely unforgettable moments at ACJ. So yeah, I highly recommend ACJ. I think the only downside to ACJ probably would be that the fee structure is higher than other institutions in India. And the second thing is, and this is something I wouldn't say it's their fault, I think it's more of an industry problem, is that you have a very ideal view of journalism. Like you have people coming from BBC telling you how to do a report, it has to be balanced, these are the ways you do, these are the ethical things you have to do, these are the things you should not do, and all of these things, right? So when you leave, you're like, yes, this is what I'm going to do to be a great journalist. And I think in any other scenario, it's perfect, but the real world is so different that you become very disillusioned very fast, and you're like, this is not what I learned in college. Like if you could, the ideal world would be to work as a journalist in a way that ACJ trains you. Like if the real world was like that, you'd have fantastic journalists, but the real world is not, and I'll tell you why. We sat for our campus placements, and I got selected at a TV channel that's based out of Delhi. I was very excited, and I was like, yay, I've learned all these things. I'll go to Delhi. Like Delhi is the place you need to be. Noida is where the office is. But I was like, yay, the center of power. It's going to be great. I'm going to be an awesome journalist. And went there. And the first few months of being there, it was so interesting to see how a newsroom works. Like what we did at ACJ was at a very small scale, but in a newsroom, it's into 100. Like you have so many bureaus all across India, you have so many reporters, you have to coordinate with all of them. You have these big studios, these big anchors, these big reporters. And I think the first few weeks, we were just like, as new kids, like wandering around starstruck, like, oh my God, I know this person on TV, or I don't know that person on TV. So it was really nice. And the organization that I was at was really friendly in a way that nobody had any airs about them that, oh, I'm the top anchor, you can't talk to me. No, not at all. There was no hierarchy in the sense that these are superstars and we are juniors and we are lowly people. It was not like that at all. You came in, you were treated as a colleague. Of course, you had to undergo some kind of training to learn the software that they use, because every organization uses their own software for editing or to use the systems and all of that. But our seniors were really nice. The people we worked with were really nice. And generally, the office had this atmosphere of, if you want to do it, go ahead for it. So for example, we all joined on something called the desk. So the desk is where you work behind the scenes. So you edit longer video feeds that come in, you edit into small bits of maybe someone's speech is 50 minutes and you make it into 30 seconds. I don't know how, I'll need another video to explain how a newsroom works. But generally, we were doing the chintu-muntu stuff, but you weren't reporting. That's not how it works. Usually, everybody starts on the desk and then slowly you work your way up. But if you had an idea for a TV news report, my organization that I worked with was so encouraging that they were like, okay, you can pitch your idea, definitely. And if it's something that could work, you could go on an assignment where you go with an experienced camera person, you can go do the report, and we will support you the entire way. Of course, you have to do it on your days off because you still had your main work to do in the newsroom, but nobody stopped you saying you're only 2 months in the job, how can you do a report that's only after 5 years or whatever. So that wasn't there. So I got the opportunity to do so many things that I don't think was possible in other newsrooms. My friends who were working in other newsrooms, they were kind of boxed in and stuck and not really given the opportunity or not really encouraged. So it was a really great experience, and reporting is very, very different from working behind the scenes, and you learn so much about what it's like being a reporter. I have so much respect for reporters on the ground because there are so many, you on TV, you'll see only 1 minute of their report talking somewhere and you'll be like, oh, what an easy job holding the mic and talking. No, there's so much that goes behind the scenes, so much running around, and work timings are insane for anyone. We've had morning shift, afternoon shift, evening shift, night shift. Journalism is a place, if you are very passionate about it, you will succeed because it's such a 24/7 news cycle that you have to be available all the time. And I loved it, okay? I absolutely loved it. It was so exciting. It is super exciting working in newsroom. There is nothing like it. The adrenaline high of working, and there's breaking news and there's so many people working together and it's you put it out. It is crazy. You would see my face, I'm glowing. But at the same time, though I enjoyed it, I had my own personal goals about what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a little more interesting, I enjoyed working in the news so much. I wanted other people, people my age also to be excited about the news. And so within a newsroom, I slowly graduated from doing desk work, then doing writing work, and then checking others' work, and then handling shows by myself. And it was really good. But there was a point where I sort of knew I didn't want to be a TV reporter. I knew I didn't want to be a behind the scenes person, working on all the TV packages and the text and all of that and being a manager. I knew I didn't want to do that. I saw digital media as the sort of next thing, and I just wanted to explore that space. So I switched from TV to the digital space within the same company. And that was a whole new chapter because I had to learn everything from scratch. Because 2 years I'd worked at TV, I'd gotten really fast at what I did. I knew how all the systems worked. I was very comfortable. And then I shifted to digital where it's completely different. The way you talk in TV or you write for TV is very different the way you write or produce or even the ideas that you do for digital. But it was a fantastic experience because I had a really good team, very, very creative people. My manager was very encouraging and she had such good vision for what you had to do, and she was really great to work with. So even that entire team, the kind of work that we did is not what I saw other people doing, and I was very, very happy to be a part of the team. I learned so much. We even got an award for the work we had done, and that was amazing. So I'd worked there for another 2 years, and that's also when the whole work from home thing happened. Pandemic also happened, but through it all, it was good. It was a very interesting experience, and I got to experience a digital space. And then again in my mind, I was like, okay, what next? I think I've reached where I wanted to, and I couldn't really picture myself doing anything particular. You know, like you stick around at a job when you see someone else doing something and you're like, yes, I want to reach that place. I'm going to keep working until I reach that. For me, it was more like, okay, I've gotten these skills, but A, B, C are the skills I've learned, but D, E, F are the skills I want to learn further and improve on. And so I got an opportunity where I could work at an edtech startup, and I was like, hey, why not? Like, I knew that I had a base for it, but I wanted to explore more. And I knew that edtech is such a growing space in India, and there is so much you can do. Plus, it was a startup that was founded by someone I'd worked with prior, someone I really liked and enjoyed working with, and someone whose vision I totally aligned with and agreed with. And I was like, why not? So again, then I was like, okay, I think this is the end of the road for me for journalism. And that's when I joined edtech. So if you're someone who's watching this, who's interested in being a journalist, here's some advice for you. So journalism is extremely exciting. It is extremely exciting. I don't think there's any other profession that can compete in terms of exciting things every single day. But the downside to it is pay isn't as much. So you will see that maybe you and all your friends in other professions start at the same level, but then you'll see their salary rising up and you're like key, and that pay disparity starts to pinch and hurt a lot, especially if you're living on your own. So it's quite difficult in that sense. Other than that, I think when you're very young and you're living by yourself, like the crazy work hours are fun and exciting. But I think as you grow older, probably if you want to have a family and stuff like that, or if you live with your family, it gets very difficult to maintain those crazy work hours. And more than that, even for your body and mind, you will eventually reach a point of burnout where you'll be like, physically and mentally I cannot do these crazy work hours anymore. So a lot of it depends on your organization and your employer. If you have a place which is where they are at least open to having this conversation, then life is so good and you will be fine working there. But I know a lot of my friends in different organizations, I cannot name them because I do not want to get sued, but a lot of them in other news organizations have been through hell because the people that they have worked with have been so toxic, and it's a culture that's set from the top. So when everyone around you is like, why can't you work 16 hours? We're all working 16 hours. Then you are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you saying, oh, you know, you need a mental health rest, and you need to look after your mental health. People only laugh at your face. So it's very difficult. And but fear not, not all news organizations are bad. There are some really good ones, and ones that not only do very ethical and journalism that you will be proud of, but B, also care about their employees and the kind of work that they do. So you will find it. You can just talk to people who are already in the industry. And if you have any other more questions, please leave them in the comments, or if you want, I can do a proper Q&A where you can send me the questions and I'll answer all your questions in another video if you have very specific questions about journalism. But I hope this helped. I hoped it all answered all your doubts. And if you are someone who's considering journalism, I wish you all the very best. It's a very exciting profession, but I also urge you to be very practical when it comes to finances and to figure that out before you jump both feet in. All right, I hope you have a great day. Bye.